And we're back with another episode. Anything to say, Kyle?
Yeah.
No.
Excited to be here.
Excited to be here. So I've been going to like a regular gym, like an LA Fitness lately. I always have a membership for there. If I'm in fight camp and I get a little bit closer, sometimes I like to do extra cardio there.
Is that like a clue that you may be close to fight camp?
Well, if you live, no, let me finish. So I like to go there for the sauna. So I've always had a membership, and now I've been going between like fights. A month or two after the fight, I've been getting more into lifting. So we lift in our garage. We have the gym, but since I've been doing it more, I kind of go there just so I can use the. We don't have as much weight as I'd like, and you know, it's cold, so it's kind of nice to go there. And I do the cardio too. So whatever, I've been going. For whatever reason, last month I've been doing like a lot of lifting and jujitsu. Been going to LA Fitness, and it's always like weird to me because now I've been going a little bit more often. Like regular commercial, like normal gym culture is so weird.
Well, because now when you go, I think the same people, it's just like a jiu-jitsu gym. The same people, if you go at 1 o'clock, the same people are there every day at like 1 o'clock, right? It's almost like a usuals, right?
Of course. Yeah. Because even I don't go that. I usually go around the same time. Some days different, but when I go, it's the same people there.
So then are people trying to become your friend?
There's definitely people that there I could tell that are like, who's this? It's like a new person at the gym. They want to know. The worst people there are the old men.
Yeah.
Like if I go around like late morning, you know, like say it's like around like 9 o'clock, the old men are they're just want to like strike up a conversation, you know. And this one guy, and I have a point. This guy's staring at me, not in like a creepy, like, you know, creepy trying to pick me up way, but just trying to talk to me. I'm not really there to make friends, you know. I'm kind of there to do my own thing. I have headphones in, and I could see I see him. I'm on the treadmill. I see he's talking to everyone. And he's looking at me, and I'm like, purposely. Now I have made it a point. I'm like, I'm not talking to you. Once I say, I'm like, I'm not talking to you. You can get right up to me. You can talk. I was on the treadmill. He's talking to the person.
Do you have like headphones in?
Yeah.
Well, that should be enough.
It should be, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
And he's coming, and then he's looking at me, and I will not talk to him. He suckered me and started talking to me, but whatever. Nice guy. I just don't. And he even said, he goes, "You're not much of a talker." I was like, yeah, well, you know, I'm just in and out. And he's like, oh, you're on a time frame. Yeah, I'm not. I just come and kind of hang out. I was like, yeah, man, like not.
It's just such a different, if you're used to like jiu-jitsu gyms or MMA gyms, it's such a different culture. Like even at the places like at like an LA Fitness or a commercial gym, even like the clothes people wear, you see like guys with like matching Nike and Nike with, you know, like different brands that are more like traditional stuff.
Right.
Like you don't see like Armbar Soap Company or
right.
You know?
Like everything that I see on like Instagram and TikTok, like the whole like gym stuff, that's like a real thing. Like, and I just go to an LA Fitness. It's not like, you know, some big bodybuilding gym, but the girls are like, they're there and they have like fire fits on.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Like Lululemon stuff.
I don't know what they have, like matching sets, like new shoes every time. Like I don't understand how their sneakers are so clean.
Really?
And like hair curled.
It's like
makeup,
an event.
Yes. They're like getting ready to go to the gym, hair curled, makeup on, but they are lifting heavy. Like some of them I'm looking at, I'm like, damn, I'm like, I want to be like, ugh. You would think your first reaction is like, oh God, this girl's not there, but they're working out hard.
Yeah, it's just different than anything that you're used to. But it's good that you go, but sometimes it's probably annoying.
Yeah, I mean, I like to go because sometimes it is nice to go to a gym where like it's not, you know, martial arts. So I just can kind of go in, do my workout, do my own thing.
And then what happens if people like recognize you?
Well,
it's funny because those people might not. I feel like people who are like into like that type of fitness maybe aren't necessarily in MMA, but I don't know.
Well, the only thing is, I will say, I think that in general, living on Long Island, I think most people, like UFC and watching fighting is a little bit more common. More so than like when I lived in New Jersey. I don't know. Maybe when I moved here, maybe
I think it just got more popular.
It got more popular, yeah. But since I've got there, I've thought that too. I'm like, kind of like, oh, this is weird. I'm not really in places where.
Because I wonder if people are like, oh, that's kind of random. This girl, the #1 ranked girl, she trains at my LA Fitness.
Yeah. I hope they don't like know and then watch me because I'm just doing like basic workouts,
Right.
you know? Or sometimes I hope they do know because, you know, if they're like, you know, it gives me an excuse because if I'm doing something that like bad form or they think it's stupid, they'll just like be like, oh, well, she's a fighter. She's doing something different. But no, since I've been going, like no one said anything to me except for the old guy, but he has no idea. And then the other day I was leaving the gym and as I was walking outside and this guy came out to me and he's like, I thought I recognized you. I was like, huh. And then he didn't say anything else. And I'm like super uncomfortable and like it's not that I think I come across sometimes that, like a bitch, but I'm not. It's just if you're not very outgoing or you're quiet, people think you're either an asshole or a bitch, you know?
It's such a funny way to like break conversation with someone, like to say, I thought I recognized you. Then your only like a reasonable reply would be, well, maybe you do. Who do you think I am?
Yeah.
Like, you know, that's what he's really saying is, oh, wow, I'm excited to see you.
Yeah.
Like, oh, or you could have said like, are you Katlyn?
Yes.
Yeah, maybe that would have been more. Are you?
I think
Yeah, I thought it. Then if you say yes, then he would say, oh yeah, I thought I recognized you.
exactly. Yeah.
But to come right out and say, I thought I recognized you,
Yeah.
that's not right. So then how'd that go?
So his like, you know, his word of choice wasn't correct, and then it made me uncomfortable because what am I supposed to do? Assume he knows who I am? Because I'm not
Right.
like, you know, it's different if you're like a celebrity. It's not like that. So, you know, he's like, oh, I thought I recognized you. And I don't want to be like, oh, yeah, you did. Yeah.
It's me.
It's me. You know, so I'm like, and he didn't say anything else. He just like was staring at me. And I was like, oh, do you watch fighting? He's like, yeah. I was like, oh, yeah. I was like, hi. I was like, I'm Katlyn. And he said his name. I was like, oh, nice to meet you. And he was like, oh, actually a couple years ago, I met you and your boyfriend on the train on the way to the fights at the Barclays Center. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah. And then that was it. And then he's like, yeah, he's like, well, I've been watching you fight. He's like, yeah, I saw that fight with Andrade. I'm like, oh, yeah. And he's like, yeah, when you got hit in the body. And I was like, yeah, yeah. Like, what am I supposed to?
What an insane thing to say.
And he was not being like an asshole. He was being super nice, but he was being nice. So what? But that was like a super rude thing to say. Oh, I saw you get finished in a fight.
It's almost like the same as like if you had like your, you know, your mother died and then someone knew your mother, and be like, oh yeah, I knew your mom before she died, or like, I don't know, like bring up a death
when it isn't
like
part of the
there's no
conversation.
reason to bring it up.
Yeah, he was just like, oh, I saw. He's like, you got hit in the body. I was like, yeah.
Like, think of how many other fights you've had, like 5 fights since then.
Yeah, I was like, that was like a year and a half ago. I was like,
That's his
forgot.
icebreaker.
And I was like, yeah, it happens. He's like, yeah, you just get hit and you just like can't keep fighting. And I'm standing in the parking lot, like, I was like, yeah. I was like, well, luckily I win most of my fights. And he's like, yeah, it's cool. When's the next one? And I was like, yeah, I don't know. And he's like, all right, I'll see you. I'm like, bye. But like, here's the thing. Now, what I want to say.
You should have been like, when he said, oh, I seen your fight with Andrade, you should have been like, what are you, an asshole? Like, well, that would have been appropriate.
That's what I want to say. But then I'm the asshole and I have to be nice because, you know what I mean? Then it's, oh, I met, and then the next time he tells someone else, he saw me, he's like, oh, she was an asshole. I was like, well, no. You came up to me and talking about a time, your opening liner is talking about a time when I got finished in a fight. Like, you know what I mean? I've had like, you know, probably like 40 fights and finished like twice. And you're bringing that. It's just a weird thing to bring up. And it's not like, oh, that fight was 2 weeks ago. And they're like, hey, I just saw your fight. You know, I'm still rooting for you. Something like that where because if a loss just happens and people bring it up, it stings. And you're like, so say it's like a week after the Andrade fight and people come up to like, oh, I saw your fight. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, all right, I don't want to fucking talk about it. Like, don't, unless it's like an immediate friend or like a training partner, I don't want to talk about it. But I understand that, okay, it just happened. People
Right.
don't know, are uncomfortable. They don't know how to say it. It's like a weird way of saying like, oh, I still support you or something like that. But to bring up like a,
You would say a normal thing would say you don't bring up like something sad or terrible the first time you meet someone. Like a normal thing would be like, oh, I love watching you fight.
yeah, that's all
I've
you
seen
say.
all your fights.
Yeah, we watch your fights. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I was just
bring
like,
up one specific like devastating loss.
that fight, for some reason, people do not understand body shots. That is the strangest thing. Everyone always asks me about that. I'm like, yeah, what happened? I was like, I fucking got dropped with a body shot. Like, what's so hard to understand?
Crazy.
And they're like, what happened? You just couldn't fight? I'm like, I want to be like, here, put your hands up and let me rip a body shot to your liver, and so you understand how it goes.
It's just such a weird icebreaker.
Yeah.
It's almost like maybe he was like what's that called in like like pickup strategies to like where you like slight a girl, like give her like a sort of like a subtle insult.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not gaslighting. It's what the hell is that called?
I don't know. You should know. Did you do these with your pickup lines?
I mean, things like this, yeah, but like some like subtle, like to bring him down a level.
Uh-huh.
Someone in the comments, leave the comments, but that's what it's.
Yeah.
It's like
But
to
it's just
slight
weird.
someone. So maybe he was trying to bring you down a level, so then he would be more comfortable. Like, oh, you're a loser, just
Yeah.
like me.
I don't think it's that. I think he's just
Negging.
Yeah.
Negging.
okay.
He
Yeah.
was negging.
I don't even think that. I think he's just so, it was like, some people are just so socially awkward and uncomfortable and say things. It's like, but then, like I said, the correct reaction for me would have been like, yeah, I lost, but go fuck yourself. Like,
Right.
but I can't say that
No.
because then I'm the asshole, but he's the asshole for. This is like an am I the asshole? Would it be me or him? Our
No,
own situation.
it's really like he was negging. That's the best way to think of it. Negging would a good example of that be like, let's say you had like a little small space between your front two teeth.
Uh-huh.
Like you'd probably be self-conscious about that. And if right away the first time we talked, I was like, oh my God, that little space between your teeth is cute.
Oh my
It's so much
God, I'm
character. Like
uncomfortable.
that would be like a neg.
Yeah.
Right? The same thing. Oh,
Yeah.
I like watching your fight. I saw your fight with Andrade.
I was like,
He was negging you.
yeah.
That's what he was doing.
yeah, not a fan, but of course I just did the thank you. Oh my God, yeah.
You're really pretty. You could be a plus size model.
That's a good one.
But it's sort of like a neg. That's what he
I
was
feel
doing.
like that's worse. Neg sound isn't.
Neg. A better example would be the space between your teeth.
Yeah, the other, yeah,
Right.
yeah. But anyway, that's my interactions. Like, sometimes it's nice to go to other gyms because I don't know one as is. But I mean, I've been going for a long time. That was like the one time.
Right. Yeah, it's a different culture, especially if you're used to the jiu-jitsu.
Like I look around, I'm like, no one here
boxing
trains
gym.
jiu-jitsu. I can just tell.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Even like the exercises are different, right?
Yes.
Like jiu-jitsu and like gym culture is more like kettlebells and
Yeah.
things like that.
Push-ups, pull-ups,
Yeah.
regular
Where
stuff.
this is like, like Smith machines and lat pull downs,
Yes.
fly pec deck, try leg extensions,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
It's just different. But then there's like the bodybuilders too,
Yeah.
right? That's weird too.
What do you
Someone
think-
actually asked about bodybuilding. That's why I bring it up.
Well, they asked.
Someone said, I was going to say it at the end, but they were like, thoughts on bodybuilding.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I always think bodybuilding, it's weird because I think actual bodybuilding where you go on the stage and like are the crazy, crazy jacked guys, I think that is like so ridiculous and like not attractive and not cool. It's just terrible. It's so stupid. But like being jacked and ripped, I'm like super into. Like I love that kind of stuff. But like the next level, like I don't think that
Like doing
girls
the actual
find
show.
like bodybuilders, like the crazy, like guys who are like 5'6", 280 pounds jacked. Like I don't think people think that that's necessarily attractive. I'm sure there's some people,
I'm assuming they think.
but that's not like a good
I would
build.
think like the guys and girls that think both of those are attractive, or like they
a
have
fetish.
or a fetish, or they have to date within the sport. Like I would think like a bodybuilder guy would date a bodybuilder girl type of thing.
Yeah, I'm super into like lifting, like being jacked, fitness,
Nutrition.
nutrition. up to the point of like maybe like a physique competition, but
Yeah.
actual bodybuilding, I'm like, that's so weird. What's wrong
I think
with
it
those
starts
people?
off cool where, for like people to get in shape and it's like, it is a lot of dedication and it's crazy. But then it's kind of like, and then it becomes like, I'm like, it seems like it's just like an eating disorder or some type of like body
But it's just not
dysmorphia.
attractive either.
Yeah.
It's not a good
It
look.
becomes like so obsessive and it's like, I
And you're
mean,
not athletic. You can't move.
because I guess they could say like, oh, like, well, even if you aren't competing in the UFC, but if you just are trained jujitsu, they could easily say, oh, you're obsessed. You're at home watching YouTube videos of it, doing that. But also like,
I'm just talking pure aesthetics. You
yeah,
just look dumb.
yeah, you can't move.
Like
Clothes are,
even sometimes like when we're at the beach and we see like some guy like that, like a crazy jacked guy. I always call those guys like throwback guys.
Yes.
Like they remind me
Like
of
Guido
like guys from
guys.
like the 90s
Yes.
or something, right?
Yeah.
Because now people are more into like just being like fit, I would say,
Yes.
but we're that
Functional
crazy,
fitness.
like blocky, jacked look. That I see those guys at the beach and I go, that's a throwback guy.
Yeah.
They
Because
still
you
have
could
like
be
Prada
ripped.
sunglasses.
You could be like lean and ripped and even jacked, but like when you're that big where you're like, your arms don't touch your side and stuff.
Yeah.
That's weird.
I don't think it's
It just looks uncomfortable.
It's not for me.
Yeah.
I'm more into the jiu-jitsu, the wrestling feel.
Yeah.
But NCAA Wrestling tournament was this weekend.
We watched it.
We watched the finals.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think?
I don't really I like watching it. I like to just see who wins. The interviews are always cringe to me.
Yeah, you hate the interviews. You hate like Midwestern college kid interviews.
Ugh.
Like thanking Jesus.
It's just it's like
you hate
there's
that.
no personality, and I'm trying to understand it. I think it's just, one, the finals.
Big part of the college wrestling culture.
The finals were right after the UFC London card, so it's tough act to follow up on. When you're used to like the interviews after that, I get it, but I think some of it is still like maybe because they're still in college, they're like restricted on things that they can say, and they're being very like
conservative. Can say more.
Well, none of them are like or say anything funny, anything entertaining. They're just like, first, before anything, I like to thank Jesus, my Lord Savior. Yeah. Like half of them are like, they're all like 20 and they're like married with like 3 kids, and it's just kind of like the same. I'm like, they're so cool, like what they just did, and then they get to the interview, and I'm like, it's so boring.
Yeah, but they're young, and
they're
like you said, it's just a totally different time in people's lives. But that's how all college kids are, or college athletes, wrestling specific, are. But I thought it was good. There was like, it's fun to watch, because I like to just see what techniques are like working at the highest level, and I don't really watch too many matches throughout the year, so the tournament's a good time to do that. So I like to see like, and then like almost even when I get into coaching, I'm like, all right, well, everyone, you have to be good at reshots. Like if you watch the finals, like most takedowns are like stop shot, reshot, like on the way up, you like recounter their attack for your own takedown. And then also like that shin whizzer position where the knees out, like you're doing like a limp leg with a whizzer and the shin. You have to be good at defending from there and finishing from there, because that's like such a common position. I saw so much. But I think I'm gonna do like a YouTube video of like the 3 or 4 techniques that I saw from the NCAA tournament that I think like like must win situations, or like must have skills.
Yeah.
I
thought it was. I mean, this is from obviously like a very like far off. Like I don't really know much about wrestling. But I thought it was really cool having DC commentate.
Yeah, he was
great. Think for someone that doesn't watch it every year and doesn't know that much about it, I think it gave it even more like, not that it's not legit, but I was like, oh, that was really cool, because now DC's considered, like almost like a celebrity commentator, like a real commentator for like professional sports. So I think to have him on there, and he's just so good, and he like loves wrestling. So I think having him there commentating was awesome. As like me watching it, he made it interesting for me.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. Obviously, like I think the best wrestler in the tournament is obviously Gable Stevenson. Aside from him, I was most impressed with Aaron Brooks from Penn State. He was just like, his ability to ride and his defense is so incredible. That was really great. And then my favorite match was Carter Situcci versus Makai Lewis. That was 174 double overtime. I thought that was like the match of the finals.
Yeah.
Both guys just so good. It's crazy how good the guys are now. But I always am thinking too, like I used to think of wrestling as those are the best guys, the toughest guys in the world, that if you win that tournament. But now with that I'm more into like jujitsu, I'm always like, yeah, but like a decent purple belt will submit those guys if they were to go right now. I wish that we could come up with a sport that was wrestling, but all submissions are legal. This is my rule set. Wrestling match, 3-2-2. All submissions are legal, but a pin ends the match. I think we've talked about this before. What do you mean that's a thing? What is it? Can they hear you?
Yeah, so this is actually already a thing, I'm pretty sure. John Combs just did something like that.
Who's John Combs? John Holmes?
John Combs, the jiu-jitsu guy?
John Holmes.
The guy that's known for the whole guillotine thing?
No.
He, like, him and Ronan had a match at Sogi. He's pretty big on the scene right now.
Okay.
He's like a top, like, 10 guy.
So what's the rule?
It's just exactly as you said, like, all submissions are legal, but, like, a pin is, the match ends.
The shoulder blades touch the mat. Like
both shoulder blades touch the mat.
Regardless, even if you have a triangle locked up.
Yes.
Okay, that needs to be what jiu-jitsu is. And that needs to be what wrestling is.
It's so funny.
Blend into that.
When we were watching the finals, Kyle was like, I used to think they were tough, but like they'll just get submitted in 2 seconds. It's just a takedown. I'm like, well, it's a different sport.
No, it's a different sport. But like if you just added that, it would be such a cool sport. Like,
yeah. Because then in jiu-jitsu, they don't wrestle. Like they just.
Like a pin ends it. That makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Because then your technique's got to be a little different.
I think it was a catch wrestling tournament. So
catch wrestling, I think, is a little different because I think there's no guard. I don't know the exact rules for that. But yeah, I just think that would be a cool rule set.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was fun to watch.
People doing it.
Yeah, it was fun to watch.
Talk about Keyson Clark.
Keyson Clark. Oh, the 141.
Yeah, dude.
He had quite a run.
And he didn't even place in his own conference. He got announced through a bid.
Yeah,
which is crazy to me.
He was like the 15th seed.
That's so inspirational.
And then he got to the finals against Nick Lee from Penn State. He's amazing.
He was a 15th seed.
No. Nick Lee was the first seed, but the other guy made it to the finals.
Oh,
beat
that's
everyone.
awesome.
Yeah, it was great. But yeah, Nick Lee's so good though. He beat Yanni over the summer.
Yeah, he's good.
He's so
he's got a bunch of like great guys to learn from. I think Rutherford's still in the room.
Yeah, well, that's the best room in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, he was amazing. RBY, obviously amazing. Beating Dayton Fix again. But Penn State's just so impressive. It's just crazy. And they I don't remember any Penn State wrestler. I can't think of anyone in the recent years that's taken second. They always go like 5 for 5 in the finals.
How recent are we talking?
10 years?
There have been a couple of guys who've taken second. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Vincenzo Joseph lost in the finals once.
But not that many.
But generally speaking, they like
if they're in the finals, they're winning.
They're batting like 900 in the finals.
Mm-hmm.
That's wild.
It's wild. And half of the roster, half of the champions are from Penn State. So if you took an all-star team of everyone in the country and put them on a dual meet team versus Penn State, I think that the all-star team would win because like Gable Stevenson or something would get a bonus point.
Oh, yeah.
But aside from that, like they would pretty much win a dual meet against the nation's all-star team.
Wasn't Molinaro go to Penn State?
Yeah, he was the generation before. I don't think he was really coached by Cal at all. I know he lost in maybe 2011 to Kyle Dake.
Yeah.
So
that's like probably like one of the only few guys.
There's a couple, but that was pre-Cal. Oh, maybe not. No, maybe it wasn't. That was like one of Cal's first years. But yeah, generally speaking, though, those guys, they get to the finals, they're going to win. But it was fun to watch. But not as fun as the
UFC London.
UFC London. I thought
Crazy.
that was the best card that I've seen.
And it
like,
was a pay-per-view.
maybe ever.
Yeah.
It's funny because when we were like making our outline with the fights I want to talk about, I'm like, I want to talk about every single fight.
Yeah, there's so many. Yeah.
You
We'll
know?
just like run through a bunch of them pretty quick.
The first one, that Muhammad Makav versus Cody Durden.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Makav's first fight
Mm-hmm.
in the UFC, but I guess he was a lot of hype behind him. Maybe it's a second, but he's from Dagestan, but lives in England
Okay.
or whatever,
That's so
London
weird.
now. And he is absolutely incredible. He's
I didn't see
so
that fight.
explosive, amazing striking, great grappling. But he came out like hit like a sick flying knee. The guy was like hurt, then he just jumped like a sick guillotine, choked him out.
Nice.
But it was super impressive, really good.
There's like 9 finishes, and there was 9 finishes on the card, and then Dana gave every person that got a finish got a bonus.
Yeah. You know, it's funny because that's really cool, but the fight of the night in terms of like competitive fights, like
Yeah.
I like competitive fights. I'm not all about just finishes.
Yeah.
But Jack Shore versus Timur
Mhm.
Valiev,
Mm-hmm.
your boy.
Yeah. I loved more.
Yeah, he's such a nice guy and he's such a good fucking fighter.
Yeah.
He's the same thing, great at striking, amazing grappling, everything. Jack Shore is just a little better at everything.
Yeah.
And he took him down. Like I was like, Timur's a Dagestan guy. Those
Mhm.
guys don't get taken down.
Right.
Jack Shore, his punches to like level change, takedown. And Bisping said this before. He was like, he reminds me of George St. Pierre. And I was like, yeah, right. It looked just like George St. Pierre.
Yeah, and he's tall, right? He's like 5'9".
Yeah.
For 5'9", 5'10" for that weight
Yeah,
class.
he looked a lot bigger than Timur.
Yeah.
It might have been 1 round apiece going into the third,
Mm-hmm.
but then he dropped Timur twice in the third. And they both had like really good grappling exchanges, like takedown, reversal.
Probably like
back to
nonstop the whole
feet.
time.
Yeah. I thought that was fight of the night. I wish those guys could have got a bonus. But Jack Shore is super legit. He kind of reminds me of Sandhagen.
Yes.
He's built like him, same
Yep.
weight class. Really good striking, good grappling. I think he has better takedowns than Sandhagen, but Sandhagen's maybe overall striking maybe better.
Yeah.
But those guys, he's on that level for sure.
Right. And he's
Yeah.
pretty new.
Yeah, but he's undefeated. I think he's 16-0.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
he's really, really good. Then another fight on the undercard was sick was that Nikita Krylov versus Paul Craig.
Oh, yes.
That was wild because Krylov took him down immediately and was fucking him up so bad on the ground, like just raining ground and pound, like pummeling him.
Like almost you're like, why aren't they stopping?
Yeah,
it?
like it looked like he was like knocked out a few
Yes,
times, and like they're
yes.
like, oh, I think he woke up with that hammer fist, woke him back
Right.
up.
Yeah.
And then, sure enough, Paul Craig threw up his triangle again, subbed him.
Isn't it like how many triangles has he gotten? Like
He's got a lot.
5?
I think he's
It's
got five or 6 triangle finishes in the UFC.
That's insane.
And he's fighting now legit guys. That guy was ranked, I think, like 7th.
That's wild. I'm surprised. Like, I mean, I guess now after that fight, they're talking about it, but I'm surprised people aren't talking about that more.
They talk about
Yeah.
it, but he fought Jamal Hill.
Yeah.
Paul Craig submitted Ankalaev, who we watched just
right.
beat Thiago Silva,
Yes.
who they say he could have a title shot next, but
Mhm.
he's his only loss, and it was in the UFC.
That's wild.
Ankalaev, I think, is 15-1, and Paul Craig submitted him.
And you said Paul Craig took like 3rd at ADCC or something?
I'm not positive. He competed at ADCCs. I think that he took 3rd one year, but I'm not positive on that.
Mm.
But his guard, like you don't really see people getting finished.
Well, he
like
said, I
that.
think in his like a post-fight interview, something like, everyone knows I'm going to do it, but he goes, so they either think they're not scared of it and they go right into it, or they are and then they don't go to the ground with me.
Yeah, you can't go to the ground with him.
He's like, so it kind of works out for him.
But I don't think his striking is necessarily like world class.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that he could take people down, but it's kind of like the Ryan Hall type thing. He's definitely better than Ryan Hall, but
Right.
his ability to fight off his back, if you go to the ground with him, you're in trouble.
And that's what's hard too, because it sounds easy, like, oh, just don't go to the ground with them. But what happens is someone gets rocked they go down, the person jumps on them,
Yep.
and then if you don't finish them, now you're on the ground with them.
Or sometimes they'll throw a kick and the guy will like catch the kick and he
Yes.
falls down, and then you end up, that's like a way of pulling guard.
Yeah, or this is kind of similar to what happened in the Patty fight. Like you kind of get rocked, and then they take a bad shot and then pull guard,
Right.
and the person comes right on top of them.
Yeah, but that was super impressive. I like it when people have like kind of like some, like ace in the hole, like something they could always go to, like a secret weapon. I mean, not secret, but everyone knows it's coming and no one can really stop it. It's kind of cool because you don't see a lot of just pure jiu-jitsu guys. Like,
I mean, you don't see a lot of triangles in the UFC.
No, especially in the men's. You really don't.
Yeah.
You don't see it very often. But it was very cool. Then I got to the main card, Ilia Topuria and versus Jay Herbert. I didn't know him. But Ilia Topuria was up a weight class, 155. And he is just incredible. His wrestling's really good, but his striking is so explosive.
Is he going to stay at that weight class?
No, I don't think so. He looked small. He got fucked up the first round, like almost stopped a couple times. And then he ended up doing the same thing he always does. He throws like his left hand to the body, like digs it in really hard. The guy covers up a little bit, then he comes overhand right, and he hits like, I think he has all finishes.
Yeah,
but he's someone who could
crazy power.
Be a UFC champion, I think.
Yeah.
Super good. Really good. Then we had your boy, Paddy Pimblett.
Patty the Baddie.
Paddy the Baddie.
I like that nickname.
What'd you think?
This was the first time I've seen him fight because for whatever reason, well, this is only his third UFC fight?
Second.
Okay, so like I was like, wow, it's so crazy. Everyone's talking about him and hyped on him. I'm like, I've never seen him fight. How have I never seen him fight of it? But he hasn't had that many fights, so it makes sense. I don't not like him, but I don't get it. I don't understand. Like I'm not trying to sound like a hater because like I said, it's not that I don't like him. I just don't understand, like, is it why people are obsessed with him? Is it because they think he's funny or, like, they just think he's so good and entertaining? I don't really, I feel like I'm missing something. I want someone to explain it to me. I don't really understand.
No, I feel the same way. I don't really get it. Like, he has the same, like, buzz. It's almost like they're kind of, like, recreate Conor. But when Conor came out, like the way he looked, the way he talked, the way he dressed, it was just so like everyone was attracted to it.
Whether you liked him or didn't like him, he kind of like
he looked cool. His tattoos were cool.
He looked like badass. You know, he was tough. The way he would like showboat and like call the fights, like I'm gonna do this and this round and blah blah.
Fighting really good guys.
Yeah, but that's not Paddy the Baddy doesn't come across as like someone that's like cocky, right?
But it just seems weird. Like I guess social media wasn't as big when Conor first came out, like in terms of like Barstool Sports signing someone.
Yeah.
But this guy got signed for a 7-figure deal with Barstool Sports. But like, I don't get it. Like when it was Conor, you're like, oh, well, of course he's, so attractive, so perfect at this role. He's going to be a star. You knew that immediately. This guy, I don't get it. I don't really get.
Is it because like,
does it because he looks like just kind of like a regular guy?
He looks like silly,
unassuming, silly.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is, and I don't know. Maybe someone can explain it to us, but I don't get it. I'm like, am I like too old? I don't understand.
But like, I would think like a guy, if you want to promote someone, get behind someone who's super entertaining and is good and likable. Like, I think you get behind like Bryce Mitchell.
Yes.
I guess he's sort of controversial now, the things he says.
Yeah, but I don't think UFC cares about that. But you're saying like all the. But I think Paddy the Baddy. I think the big thing that one part that it's hard for us to understand is like when there's fighters from other countries and how they have the huge following of another country, how big that they have the following of all the U.S. fans, but then the countries are from. I think that's something that like us as Americans don't really understand how impactful that is and how much value that adds to someone's stock.
Well, yeah, I'm glad you said that because that's what I wanted to get into is I understand that they need like that's such like a popular sport in the UK. It's so big there that they need like a superstar. And they've always had one like Michael Bisping and Conor. Then they tried to do Darren Till, but he kind of had some stumbling blocks. So now they need another guy.
But even all their fighters, even if they're not like promoted that much, like
they love them.
They love them. That's why this card was so cool, because everyone, there's so many fighters from there.
But within this card, why not get behind like Aspinall, who we'll talk about, or Arnold Allen, or even Jack Shore? Like, they're all much higher level than Paddy. I just never understand why someone gets the push, based on how they think that they're gonna be popular. Even like Sean O'Malley.
Mm-hmm.
Sean O'Malley, I get it. He just looks cool.
He looks cool. He does, like, he's kind of got that swagger, that, like, the cocky swagger. He does it. He does like the Kobe thing after he knocks someone out. And he has like, but his fights, whether you can say what you want about, maybe before about his competition, his fights, like, he looks like Conor and stuff. Like, he looks crazy explosive. I mean, from what I saw in this fight, Paddy got a great finish. But like before that, he was kind of getting like fucked up a little. Like, I don't know. I just didn't see that. Like,
I'm not talking at all about his fighting. I'm just talking, why does he get the push? Like, Bryce Mitchell, there's some, like, everything he says is funny. He's so entertaining.
Like, I think he's so
just
funny
listening
and
to him talk is like listening to like Conor talk, where it used to be like you just want to watch Conor's interviews back then.
Or
same
like
with
that,
like Bryce Mitchell.
Even I know he's controversial too, but even like Colby, like, he's on point on the thing. Like whether you like what he's saying or not, that every time he's entertaining, every time he says something, it's like he's on point. Every interview he does, he's on. Like him, even who's the Black Beast?
Derek Lewis. Same thing. Derek Lewis is perfect example.
Like, every time you
can't not like Derek Lewis.
Every time they say something, you want like I said, whether you like them or you don't like them, you want to hear what they're saying, because you're expecting something entertaining. Whereas like with Paddy, I'm like, like I said, I don't think he's like annoying. I don't think that or any. I'm just like, I just don't get it. I don't think it's like super funny.
Yeah, and I could be just maybe like old or like not cool, but like I don't like.
I don't get it.
It wouldn't be like who I would like attach my wagon to. Like,
but maybe that's what it is. Maybe because like, he looks unassuming or something.
Yeah, I just think that even if you just want that part of the world to build a star, I think like that Aspinall is the guy.
Yeah.
Because he could be a UFC champion 100%.
And I think his fighting is way more entertaining.
Well, it's amazing. Yeah. And he seems like a fun, cool guy.
Yeah.
He's like a beer drinking, like jokey guy.
Yeah.
Like, that's who I would, if I was going to build a star there, and heavyweight too. It's,
But after that, everyone online says the next match to make is Paddy versus Ilia Topuria, but
he
Paddy
doesn't want any part of that.
Not want Ilia Topuria's like, okay.
Well, that's kind of like very, very similar to Sean O'Malley and Merab.
Yes.
Merab's been calling him out for years.
Yes.
Constantly calling him out, but why would he fight him?
Yeah.
And same with Paddy. Well, he's not fighting Ilia Topuria.
No way.
Yeah, no, there's no.
But having
them,
on the same card, it's just like it's a good buzz. But like Paddy's just like, he played it off good. He was like, I don't know if of course he wants to fight me because I'm the guy, which she's true. What he's saying is right.
Well, but. Yeah, and I don't think that would go super good for Paddy.
No.
But the next fight, Arnold Allen and Dan Hooker. Arnold Allen, I feel like
he's my new favorite fighter.
Someone who I have been super high on for years now, and no one talked about him. Yeah. I remember he was like his third fight in the UFC or something. Maybe he fought like Gilbert Melendez. Like, that's how long ago it was. And I was like, oh my God, this dude's amazing. And he's so jacked and he's good at everything. Big. And
I only know him from you always talking about him.
I've bet on this was back when I was betting. I used to bet on him quite a bit.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 or 4 times in a row. But I've been big on him for years. And I think he's just incredible. He's only fought, I think, 3 times since 2019. I looked at his record. So he doesn't fight often, but
it's tough.
Nobody
now.
Fucks Dan Hooker up like that.
No.
I mean, I guess that's not really true.
I
just sounded like everyone else. That's not true. Dan Hooker got finished in like 30 seconds by Islam. He got finished in like 1 minute by Michael Chandler. And now he got finished in like 2 minutes by this guy. Yeah. So that's not true. He gets fucked up a lot.
But usually
I think he's actually 1-4 his last 5.
But they're top like top 5,
Top
top 3 fighters usually.
Yeah. It was funny because as that fight was finishing, I was talking to my brother
Mm-hmm.
and I was talking about Arnold Allen, how good he is. And I was like, oh, I'd love for him to fight Calvin Cater
Yeah.
next. And then in the interview, he's like, I want to fight Calvin Cater.
That was a great call out.
That's the fight to make.
Yeah. That was a great
two of my
call
favorite
out.
fighters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That fight would be amazing to watch.
So sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know.
And he
who would
obviously
win.
he didn't look like he took much damage, and Calvin Cater fought like on the same card I fought last in January.
Oh yeah, he was the main event of that card.
Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of like,
it could happen.
yeah, I'm into it.
Yeah, that would be a cool fight. Even Bryce Mitchell would be a cool fight. I keep
Mhm.
talking about him, but he's now a top 10. Both are top 10 guys, but I think Allen is probably looking for like a top 5 guy.
Right.
I would say after that, but yeah, super impressive. Then the main event, Volkov and Aspinall. What'd you think?
I mean, I thought it was great. Everyone kept thinking like, oh, Aspinall is not going to be able to take Volkanov down. Well, he took him down easily, super easily.
As far as I'm concerned, Aspinall looked as good as a fighter can possibly look.
Well-rounded,
I thought he was
everything.
flawless. He was displayed super high level skills in boxing, wrestling, jiu-jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect takedowns, really slick, powerful submission, and his hand speed and movement boxing-wise is just incredible.
Yeah, super high-level boxing. Like, he looks like he's a boxer.
But then his takedowns
Yeah.
look like he's a wrestler.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
his jiu-jitsu looks like he's a jiu-jitsu.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But like nobody really fucks up Volkov like that.
Mm-mm.
He's competitive with everyone, and he's beaten, Fabricio Verdun, he's beaten Alistair Overeem, he's beaten a lot of really good guys.
Yeah.
But that
For
was
Aspinall,
not competitive.
that was a super big win for him.
Yeah. But now he's gonna fight like a top 5 guy for sure. He has to. But I think he called out Tuivasa.
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah.
And Tuivasa always has like a hammer, like he could knock anyone out. So
Yeah.
you wouldn't like bet against him, but
Well,
I
heavyweights
really
are hard
couldn't
to bet
imagine Aspinall like not winning that.
Yeah, me neither.
Then I guess who'd he fight? Like Stipe, then a title fight?
I always forget that Stipe is like still around. He doesn't fight very often, and he's how old is he?
He's old, 41.
Yeah.
But there's the top of that division. There's still Francis, still Cyril Gane, Stipe, and John Jones. So even if he beat Tuivasa, he still would have to win another one, I think.
Yeah, didn't they? I thought I saw something that like John Jones can fight for the
Interim?
interim. Yeah.
And that would be against Stipe, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Aspinall Stipe, I think that would be a sick fight because he seems like similar to Stipe, but probably better
Right.
jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I think better jiu-jitsu.
But they're both their boxing super high level, and
Good
Stipe's
wrestling.
wrestling's really good. But Aspinall's probably, I would say, probably more technical jiu-jitsu guy,
Yeah.
like real submissions.
Yeah. So if he could take him to the ground.
Stipe would be tough for him to take down,
Yeah.
I think, but maybe not. I mean,
We thought this was going to be
Yeah.
tough for him to take him down, but
yeah. But even like DC had a hard time taking Stipe down.
Yeah.
Took him down once, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, I think, definitely the best card that I've seen in a long time,
Mm-hmm.
top to bottom.
Yeah. It was really good.
And it's funny, like you said, the wrestling being right after, it's just such a tough act to follow.
Well, it was good because we were like in like fight mode, watching fights. So we're like put the rest. It was good that they were over before the finals. So I think people were tuned right from that right into the wrestling finals. But yeah, you're watching that and then the wrestling finals. But it was still good.
Yeah, it's definitely good. You listener questions?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, someone actually, this question we've gotten a few times from different people. They want to know our thoughts on swingers.
You want to start?
Yeah. Sure. First of all, you knew about this. We learned that a symbol for swingers is an upside down pineapple.
Yeah, or I think pineapples in general.
No, it's upside down.
Oh,
So I guess like apparently people have on their front door, they have like a pineapple, whether it's something and it's upside down. It means the house of swingers.
mm-hmm.
So like I don't know if that means like, but I don't understand how that works. So it's like you're driving by and you're like, hey, there's that family's a swinger. Let's go stop by. I don't know if it's like that.
Now, when they ask swingers, like swingers and open relationship are different things, right? I think swingers means
it's like a
you're
group
involved.
activity. Group activity.
Everyone's involved.
That's
threesome, swapping, something like that. Where an open relationship means you have like a separate, go out on your own and do what you want.
Yeah.
Right. So I think it's you could be swingers and in an open relationship, but if you're a swinger, it doesn't necessarily mean you have an open relationship.
Right. I mean, I'm saying right, like I know, but that's what I think. Like open relationship is like just the same, is like, you know what I mean? It's not group activities.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like I think if they're like, if we were in an open relationship and you're with someone else, it's not all of us together. I think it's you do that separately from me.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, so I think that the swinger one, it's all, I mean, it's just your choices, whatever you want to do. But I think that things get a little confusing if there's any rules. I think it needs to be like, if you're going to do that, then no rules.
Yeah.
Because if it's like, I've heard of people in relationships like that, and then they'll get like, well, then he was more into her. Or like, no, you got to be, you know, it's either completely open and nobody cares, or you do a conventional relationship. I think when you start adding rules and stipulations to it, it gets convoluted.
Well, when you have rules, then it's like, oh wait, it means you don't want them to do it. Then it becomes like very one-sided. Like, well, this is my rules. Like, so I want to be able to do what I want to do, but you can't do that type of thing. I don't know. I know people that do stuff like this, and then they'll complain.
Yeah, yeah.
They'll be like, oh, they were texting nonstop. I'm like, well.
Yeah, really, they don't like if they talk to them outside of that.
Yeah, it has to be. I'm like, well, wait, you're mad because they're texting, but you guys all hook up together all the time? Like you said, I think you said it good. I think if you're going to do that, you have to be like, no rules. It gets too complicated. And I think sometimes people think it's good in the beginning, and then it gets too complicated, you know? Or I think sometimes people, you know, I see this a lot with girls, they're open to doing, like, say they want to do a threesome, and they're doing it more because they want to be like, they think that that's what the guy wants. And then they're like, after a while, they're like, all right, I'm over it. Like, I don't want to do it anymore. It's like, well, if you don't want it, you got to think about that ahead of time.
You open that up. I guess maybe with that, you could have the stipulation like, well, this is something one time, like a bucket list thing. I just want to do it. And then have that going into it. But I think it's tough if you do it like here and there, and then all of a sudden you're like, you do it for, 6 months, like once a month, and then you're like, no, never again.
Yeah.
Then it's
not really fair to the other person, because
you've opened Pandora's box.
Yeah. Right? I don't know how, like, I always think, I'm like, how common is that, like, swinging?
I think it's pretty common.
And it, like, to me, my like, the way I think of it, I just always think of it as like older people. Like, you have to be like older, and I'm like, is it because they're like married for so long and they have kids, and then they're like bored and then they just do it? But I think it seems like it would be hard. Like, what are the odds that, like, say it's just like two couples, what are the odds that like everyone thinks everyone's attractive?
Well,
or are you just kind of like,
whatever? I don't think
whatever?
that really matters. I think it's just whatever. I think when you find like groups where it's just, have a hot tub party.
Ugh.
I think that's usually hot tubs are very important in swinging situations, I think.
Well, we have a hot tub, but we're not swingers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just
nothing. I'm not judgmental against. I'm not judgmental. It's whatever you want to do. I just think if you're going to do
complicated.
it could get complicated.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you have to do it with the mindset of you do not care. There's no jealous. You know.
Yeah, I don't think, like, say, you said it the same. I agree with the way you said it. Like, I'm not judgmental. I don't care what anyone does. Like, I have like friends that are like, oh my God, did you hear they did this or blah, blah. I'm like, who cares? Like, when it comes to that stuff, I'm like, I don't care at all what anyone does. Like, it's your own preference. Like, I don't know. I'm not judgmental about that because I feel like it's not a big deal. But that doesn't mean I'm not into it, but I don't judge people that are.
Yeah, of course not.
I wish I like knew more people that were into it just so I could like ask them questions, just because I'm like, oh, it's kind of curious,
Yeah.
But
yeah, there's a lot of different like facets to that.
Yeah, I think swinging is like kind of seems like that's like more old school, and I think open relationship is like more trendy.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you're right about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like swinging's like, wow, that's basically like a sex party. Whereas open relationships, like, all right, I can hook up with other people.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you gotta really like I said, like swinging's like a wild
That's more
night.
like a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like a lifestyle thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Someone asked if we will have a garden this summer.
Like garden?
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of like planting areas, like, landscaping, but in terms of like a vegetable garden, no. But I do I throw mulch, I'll weed. I appreciate beautiful landscaping.
When the weeds come
I don't do
in,
gardens,
it is
though.
like when
Stressful for me.
it's so stressful for you, and I get worried about you.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes you're like, I gotta go out there. And I remember one time you said this like last summer. You're like, you know what? I'm just gonna go out there every morning and I'm gonna pull 50 weeds.
Well, you know what? We added a lot of mulch, and now there's less weeds.
Yeah.
You
The weeds really cracks you.
I fucking hate seeing weeds.
Yeah.
Like a blade of grass coming up between my like hydrangeas.
Yeah.
Cracks me.
Yeah. I worry about that with you.
But in terms of like a vegetable garden, I would like it too, but our like setup really isn't conducive to that.
We
Like,
don't
it would
have
just it would look like odd. Like ours is all like,
there's no space for it.
Yeah, not really. I mean, I guess there is, but then it takes away from like.
It doesn't really go with the aesthetic.
Yeah, it takes away from the aesthetic.
Our aesthetic is like
a lounge.
Is more loungy, not as much earthy.
It's not earthy.
But I would love to have a garden, but I wouldn't even know how to begin to take care of it. But I love the idea of like, oh, let me just go outside and get some cucumbers from our garden. Like
our neighbor has a garden and she gives us cucumbers.
Oh my God, yeah.
What else do they give us?
Butter lettuce.
Yeah. Asparagus.
That
was good. Yeah.
Yeah. Our like couple houses down, our neighbors, actually, their mother lives a couple houses down. Like she has this fucking like legit garden.
Yeah.
And they have too much stuff, so we kind of get some of that, which is nice.
Yeah.
Then I feel like I'm gardening.
I like gardens, but no, we're not gonna have one.
Unfortunately, I would love to have like a garden and chickens, but we don't have time.
No, not yet.
Okay, this one's good. How do you get over a recent breakup, and how do you stop stalking their accounts, like social media accounts?
Well, if you want to get over the breakup, you have to stop stalking their accounts. That's got to come first, because the more you stalk, the more difficult it will be to get over it. The more you're.
I always felt like anyone I got over. Maybe I wasn't that into them, but I feel like I got over them well. But
that's part of your personality. You could cut people off so easily.
Yeah, I would just, even if like we ended on good terms, I just block them right away on everything. And
that's what I mean. You have to stop following.
You would stop following. I block them on everything just because I'm like, well, at least for the beginning, it's like, well, there's no point of us talking if we're not like, And that's like not hard for me, but I would like, back then I would block them. But then if I was with a friend and I knew they were friends with them, every once in a while I'd be like, here, let me see. I want to see what, and I go through it. But mostly just because I'm nosy.
Yeah, you are.
I'm just like, oh, what are they doing? I'm like, they're still a loser. And then, but I would block them so I couldn't go see it like, because it is, it's like easy to stalk people on there. You know what I mean? I do the same thing when I have opponents. I stalk theirs. I look at their Instagram like every day and I see what they're doing.
Right. Yeah. So I think you have to try to stop stalking, and then to get over them,
block their phone numbers too.
Yeah.
I don't know why people don't do that.
But to get over them, you have to realize that there's nothing you can say or do that will get them to come back. There's only things that you could say and do that would make them stay away. So you have to just, no conversation, no talking. Whether you want to stay broken up, if you want to stay broken up, of course, you have to stay no talking, totally shut them off. That's it. And if you want to get back together, you have to do the same thing, because they'll only come back if they think that you're over them.
Yeah.
That's my best advice. Like, your boyfriend won't come back or won't like acknowledge you until he starts getting the vibe that you don't want him back.
Right.
That's the only chance.
That's so fucked up that it's like
so
that. But
fucked
it
up,
is.
but that's how it is.
Why is that? And it's so hard for people to actually, people know that, but and I don't know, maybe this not, I just feel like it's mostly girls. I'm like, they cannot just like almost play hard to get. Like they can't do it because they're so scared. Well, if I do that, then they're gonna
only
think,
makes you want more.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's so weird. Because to me, it's like, well, you're scared to totally, ignore them because then you're like, oh, they're gonna think of that I'm over them, and then they're gonna move on. It's like, well, then they probably shouldn't have been together anyway.
Yeah, but it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
The only way that someone will come back if you're in a relationship where you break up sometimes is you have to act like you are completely over them until you actually are over them, and then they'll come back.
Yeah. So when you get that, you just block people.
Even if they say, then eventually they'll text you something like, if they text you like, hey, and you don't respond, hey, just let me know you're okay. Or I have to tell you something, or how's your mom? Or I have to go to the hospital. I think I might have cancer. Something to get you to respond back. And you just have to keep ignoring until they like show up at your house.
Yeah. I mean, that's why you gotta, like, I don't know, just block them on every social media and block their phone numbers. I have like so many phone numbers blocked in my phone.
Really? I don't think I have any.
I like blocking people's phone numbers because then you do it and then you almost forget you do it. So you're like,
right.
And they're like, sometimes someone will be like, oh, I tried texting. I'm like, really? That's weird. I'm like, oh, I think I blocked your number. Like, I'll block someone even if they're just like annoying.
Yeah.
Even if it's not someone I dated, if they're just annoying, I block phone numbers. And I'm like, then they think like their text didn't go through. And if it's something really important, then if it's really important, they'll find a way. Email me.
Right.
I
think, but that does suck when you're like crushed about someone. Like, you want to get over a breakup. Like, it sucks being, whoever asked that, I don't know, was it a boy or girl?
I don't know.
Oh, well, whoever asked that, like, it sucks to be in that position because
sucks.
Like, you're always just so anxious. You always want to check your phone.
Mm-hmm.
And like when you're
should I say something? Should I not? Like, you're like doing like the subliminal post.
Yeah, subliminal post. You'll post something with the intention, oh, they'll think this.
Yeah. Or then they post like a song and you're like looking up the lyrics of the song. Like, what does that mean? Are they over me? It's like crazy. Girls are crazy with that.
Yeah. And you're looking, did they look at your Instagram
The worst is then you get into another level. Then you're like, okay, they were hanging out with this girl. Now I'm like deep into the girl that he went on a date with. I'm like on her sister's thing. And I'm like, oh my God, do not like anything. Like, you're so scared. And then you go back, you have to go back and you're like, it's crazy how much you can like figure out just from like stalking on Instagram.
Yeah. The best thing you can do is just, like I said, like ignore. And then always, I've said this before, is when you're in that phase, you have to use your energy to improve yourself, get in better shape, become more attractive, make more money, learn a valuable skill, use that time that you were like dating, all those hours into bettering yourself. Because that way you're more attractive to other people and you're more attractive to
that person.
Like if you're, you focus on yourself for 6 or 8 months and then you buy a sick new house, then you post the picture, oh, I bought a new house.
Yeah.
The girl's going to be, oh, well, all of a sudden you're a little more attractive.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. So you focus on yourself. There's nothing you could say for that person to get them to come back. But if you just improve yourself, maybe they will.
You improve yourself, whether it's like, physical, financial, or even just finding a new hobby and something to get a new skill to something to get good at. Then you meet new people. And like you said, then it makes yourself more attractive and that person.
To other people, too.
Yeah. And that person might want you. And if worst case scenario, if it doesn't work out, now you're more attractive to potential other people.
Right. So the best thing is self-improvement. And anyway, and that's a good way to get over things.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Okay, the last one. What advice would you give to your 20-year-old self?
I'll start.
Okay. So I guess this is like sounds kind of like boring, but don't like care what other people think, which sounds so easy to say, but I think that comes along with like being confident too. I think, I don't know what it is. If it's hard because like, do you get confidence from stuff? You get confident when you're like, don't care about what other people think. But I think that might only come with age or time. I don't know. Cause maybe right now I'm 33. I feel like once I hit 30, I just didn't give a fuck anymore. I didn't care what people think. I never totally did.
Yeah, you really don't.
But when I was younger, I definitely did. I mean, I would definitely be like, insecure, being like a girl, like when I was single, like insecure about how I looked and, my body, and like see like other girls look so pretty. And when you're trying to, like, especially when you're like single and you're doing all that stuff. But I don't know. I don't know. As soon as I hit 30, I just like didn't care what anyone thinks. And I think so I don't know if it's just because I hit that age or if it was, I just realized you can't think about what other people think. I mean, and a lot of times when you're younger, you always assume that older people, like I was always like intimidated a little bit by older people. I thought that they knew more than me or I wasn't smart enough or, just kind of things like that. And then I realized I'm like, oh, people that are like dumb when they're 20 are also dumb when they're 40 or 50 or 60. Sometimes there's a lot of people, some people grow and mature, but a lot of people don't at all. And just to be confident and like confidence is so important. And it is, some people have it right away and they have it their whole life, but it is something that you can learn and improve on. I think if you just, meet more people, talk to people. And I think if you're honest with people, like I'm not very, good with confrontation. I don't like, even talking to people I don't know. I'm kind of like, in the beginning, I'm a little shy and stuff like that. But just the more you do it and force yourself to get out there, and it just kind of builds your confidence. But yeah, I think if you just stop caring what people think and realize that like, everyone else is the same insecurities as you. Like sometimes you think you're the only person that's worried about it, but there's people who are worried about what people think about them too. So everyone's the same. I think don't worry about what people think and that'll help your confidence go up. And once you have confidence, then you just worry about yourself. You don't have to worry about anything else.
Yeah, that's good. So you're 20-year-old.
Yeah.
Like there's not a lot I would say, but the one thing I wish I could give like advice on like training or athletically, but I don't think that that's really what they're asking because that's, just like a small part. But aside from like things I would have done different in my athletic career, I would say like, don't think that if you're like 27 or 28 that you're getting old. Like that's still like a baby.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about like, oh, I should be doing this or I should be doing that. Those years, make sure you use them to do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Like when I remember being like 28 and being like stressed, I'm like, should I be married? Should I have this? Should I have kids? Should I, but you're too young. I really think you're just too young. So don't stress about like where you're at in life until you're like in your 30s.
Yeah, that's good.
I think.
I agree.
And then by the time you're 30, you should have things like,
lined up. Even if you're not there, you're starting to go in that direction.
Yeah.
You can still do the fun stuff, but you got to start to like.
But you don't need to, once you start making a little bit of money, be like, oh, buy like, like quote unquote starter house and just, I live in this house and this is, because that sets you up for like a average life.
Yeah.
You have to have the experiences and like, meet the right people to position yourself to really do something special. I think the more experience and the more people you meet, the better chance of, being successful that you're going to have. Being
successful and being happy because you start to learn what you do, what you like and what you don't like. I think in your 20s, you need to just like not settle, like,
not settle.
Don't settle.
Don't think like I should be doing this by this age.
Yes. Yeah. And even if you're like 27, you're like, well, I'm almost there. No, you're not.
No,
like, just
matter.
Do all the fun stuff, like do all that, but like still be like somewhat responsible, but
be always making progress.
Yeah.
And don't just like, stay in your hometown and drink every day. I'm doing something. I'm going out. I'm meeting people. No, those people suck.
Yeah.
You have to like travel and live different places.
Don't be afraid to get up and move somewhere where you don't know anyone.
Right.
Because everyone does that. And that's how you figure out what you like and what you don't like.
Yeah, so I guess that would be my advice is don't stress about where you're at in life until you're a little older.
Yeah.
you know,
Realize that you're still so young.
you're still so young.
Yeah.
And what you can accomplish and change in like 3 years
Mm-hmm.
is very crazy.
Yeah.
Like a couple years of focus and, you know, couple, you know, good breaks and have the right people around, like 3 years could be a completely different situation.
Yeah. Completely life changing.
You know, yeah, even 1 year really,
Yeah.
but you know, 27 to 30, that you could do a lot in those times,
Mm-hmm.
you know, so you don't need to stress about that. But yeah, that's it.
Is this good? This is good for you, Zane. You're 21.
Anything else, Zane? You got anything for us? Good. All right. I should say this at the beginning instead of at the end in case people don't listen, but please continue to subscribe. Our subscribers are slowly going up, and if you like the podcast, please subscribe so I don't get frustrated and then we stop doing it.
And follow us on TikTok if you guys are on TikTok
Yeah.
at Burning Votes.
Thanks for listening.
Bye-bye.